Disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by Wendy's. However, after this video, if they want to hire me to write their short stories for them, I'll happily submit my resume. Boing boing. Hey guys, my name is Zuri and I'm back with another video. Today, we are going to be looking at Wendy's Wattpad account. I first heard about this through Jarvis Johnson, who made a video where he mentioned it, and I was like, I have to make a video about this. So for those of you who don't know, Wendy's, the fast food chain, has an account on
Wattpad,
the story writing website best known for questionable fan fiction. Their Wattpad account was created back in 2018, but ever since Jarvis Johnson's video, people have been commenting on their stories, just reacting to the content and kind of confused as to why they even have a Wattpad account. Because the last thing you expect from a big fast food chain is that they'll start writing short stories centered around their menu items as a form of promotion. You expect weird ads on TV and weird ads on the radio, but not weird ads in the form of short stories. It's an interesting form of marketing, they're catering to not a new audience, people that are on Wattpad, and also people that are on YouTube, because people who do YouTube will make videos about it, which will then direct more people to their Wattpad, which will then direct people to the actual restaurant. It's great marketing. I mean, Wendy's has a Wattpad, KFC has a video game and a movie. Soon we're going to see fast food restaurants coming out with full-length novels based around their menu items, or releasing music based on their menu items. Mark my words. So Wendy's has 6 short stories on their Wattpad account, each one centering around a specific Wendy's beverage, and I've already read each story twice. So what I'm going to be doing is giving you a brief summary of each story, then giving my opinions and a little rating, just how I feel about the story. And I've written my little synopsis on my laptop right here, so if I'm looking down, that's why. But anyway, let's get started with the first story, called The Thirst. A woman named Sydney becomes fixated on her new co-worker named Drax. He has pale skin, cold hands, wears sunglasses indoors, and is always drinking Wendy's strawberry watermelon fruit tea, which is bright red. So she comes to the conclusion that Drax is a vampire and that the red drink is what's giving him his power. She takes a sip from the drink, expecting to also turn into a vampire. Then when she doesn't, she confronts him about it. Turns out, he's not a vampire. Look, it's obvious. You're a vampire, and the drink gives you your power. You dressed it up with the Wendy's cup, but I know what it really is. Why do you think I'm a vampire? He asked. Well, for one, your name is Drax. Seriously, who has a name like that unless they're a vampire? It was my great-great-grandfather's name. He was beloved, so my parents gave me his name. Okay, but what about your pale, cold skin? I asked. My skin is very sensitive to ultraviolet light, he said. I will break out in a rash if I am exposed to it too much, so I avoid the sun at all costs. And I have an irregular thyroid, which makes my skin cold. I've had it most of my life. Well, what about your sunglasses? You wear those inside all the time, I said. I suffer from photophobia. My eyes are very sensitive to any kind of light, but especially fluorescent lights, which this office is full of. I was clearly losing this, but I still had the question about the drink. But what about the drink? I asked. You seem dependent on it. He paused for what seemed like an eternity. Bingo! I had finally gotten somewhere. It's Wendy's strawberry watermelon fruit tea, he said. I really can't get enough of it. It's all natural flavors. It's sweet, but not too sweet. So it ends with her feeling betrayed, but agreeing that the Wendy's drink is actually really good. Okay, so now time for my opinions. This story gets a 3 out of 5 fruit teas for me. I would have liked it if Drax was actually a vampire, but I can appreciate the comedy aspect of it, of her being like, what about this, and him being like, no, I just have a bunch of conditions and I really like Wendy's drinks. Like, that's it. But something interesting that I noticed was that there were actually typos in the story, which I feel like was deliberate, because it's not so much that, you know, Wendy's stories are mocking some of the stories you see in Wattpad, but it's kind of like they're trying to blend in with them. It's kind of fitting into this like Wattpad stereotype, which is that, you know, it's just a bunch of like young teenagers writing stories for fun, so there's going to be some typos. Not that there aren't serious authors on Wattpad, and not that a teenager can't write really good stories without typos. I'm not saying that, because obviously there are good authors on Wattpad, and you can be a teenager writing Wattpad stories and just make your story really good and without typos. But I think it's just kind of trying to blend in with that stereotype. I don't know, maybe it was accidental, maybe those are just typos, but it just feels deliberate because it's a big company, you know. If you're putting out a promo ad, why would there be typos in it? I enjoyed that story, but let's move on to the next one. The Island of Truth, Project SIP. Agent Ava Rex, who was part of a government initiative called Project SIP, or SIP, which stands for Silent Interrogation Procedures, travels to the island of Santiago to hunt down someone known as the Luth, who has a truth serum that will help Project SIP in their interrogations. She gets captured by the Luth, who reveals that Agent Rex is actually a clone of the Luth. So the Luth explains that she was once a part of Project SIP, but was against their methods of interrogation, so she left to make a truth serum so she wouldn't have to resort to using violence to get info. The agency then used her DNA to clone her. Then they sent the clone, which is Agent Rex, to get the truth serum, which is honest tropical green tea, by the way, and stop the Luth from using her serum for good. Agent Rex is understandably shocked and confused. That can't be true! I'm a me! Ava bawled as she questioned her identity. Why don't you ask me yourself? But first, Emilio, bring the tea. The patter of his little feet rhythmically slapped the floor as he approached with a canteen. Emilio is a penguin, by the way. The Luth lifted it to her lips and began to drink its contents. Is it real? The Luth interrupted her plea with a single raised finger and continued to drink all of the honest tropical green tea within the canteen. She wiped her mouth and let out a sound of refreshment like this was some sort of drink commercial. The sound went on for almost a minute. So what were you going to ask me? Is it really true? Agent Rex pleaded with tears in her eyes. The Luth paused. A smile began to stretch across her face. Yes. And that's how the story ends. This one gets a 5 out of 5 green teas from me. This was a wild ride from start to finish. I do recommend. I will leave a link in the description to where you can find all of these stories, but I do recommend reading this one because I really enjoyed it. The writing was much more descriptive than in the last story. That's something I forgot to mention for the last story, The Thirst. The writing was really simple and straight to the point, which is fine, but the writing in this was really descriptive. And I feel like that's probably because the setting was a tropical island. I did notice more grammatical and formatting errors towards the end, but again, I feel like it's deliberate. It's part of the whole aesthetic, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, this was pretty fun, so let's move on to the next one. The Final Straw, Berry Lemonade. Jessica Wiggins is a new Muay Thai fighter who is in a fight with experienced fighter Adriana de la Garza, aka the Green Mamba. Jessica got into Muay Thai after her trainer, Connor Clark, offered to train her after seeing her take out her anger on a trash can in a Wendy's after getting dumped by her then boyfriend, Billy. Turns out Connor's training methods actually center around Wendy's strawberry lemonade. The strawberry lemonade was integral to Connor's training methods. He had Jessica balance one on her head to perfect her stance. She used the beverage cups as sparring gloves to toughen her punches. She even jumped rope while Connor threw strawberries and lemons at her to teach her how to properly avoid attacks. She ends up defeating the Green Mamba and becoming the Muay Thai World Expo strawweight champion. Her ex-boyfriend, Billy, who was there for the fight, goes to congratulate her, and she realizes that she doesn't need him anymore. Because throughout the entire story, she's been kind of still grappling and dealing with their breakup. Then it ends with her and her trainer, Connor, sharing a moment and deciding to leave the fight together. This one gets 4 out of 5 strawberry lemonades for me. And I feel like the only reason this was a 4 and not a 3 was because of the fight scenes. This is my favorite one. Suddenly, moving as quickly as a snake biting into its prey, like lightning striking a tree, the Mamba hit Jessica with 3 consecutive hooks, an uppercut, a left roundhouse kick, a right roundhouse kick, another left roundhouse kick, and finally a spinning elbow. Before she knew it, Jessica hit the mat. Hard. Like, ow. How does that... I don't know that much about fighting, but... There weren't any typos in this one, but it still had that overdramatic atmosphere that's just a staple for Wendy's writing at this point. And I guess kind of blending in with, you know, Wattpad, the Wattpad stereotype. So let's go on to the next one. The Forbidden Fruit Tea. Courtney Craig is on vacation with her old roommate's sister's ex-boyfriend, John Paul, for some reason, who asked her to share a Wendy's berry cherry fruit tea with him, but she felt as if this would betray her old roommate and her old roommate's sister's trust. So she tried taking the drink for herself while he was out playing beach volleyball. She's interrupted by room service bringing a bucket of ice and warm towelettes that John Paul requested to his room so that he can ice his knees and warm his muscles after he gets back from playing volleyball. As the room service guy is about to leave, John Paul catches Courtney with the fruit tea. He's upset that she's trying to take it and explains that he's in love with her. That's why he wanted to share the drink with her. So they profess their undying love for each other and decide to share the drink. But to their shock and dismay, the drink has disappeared. Where could it have gone? John Paul asked. Courtney sat on the king-size hotel room bed and placed her head in her hands. Then, suddenly, she stood up. The room service guy! John Paul and Courtney raced to the window and threw back the curtains. From their hotel view, they had a wonderful scenic view of the beach, the waves rolling in, crashing into the shore. There were people sunbathing, building sand castles, even playing beach volleyball. Then, off in the distance, Courtney spotted him. The hotel staff member who brought them John Paul's room service order. He was running on the beach, his feet kicking up in the sand. In his right hand, he held a small suitcase. In his left, the Wendy's berry cherry fruit tea. Courtney and John Paul watched helplessly as he ran across the beach and onto the dock, boarding a yacht. He turned around and briefly glanced in their direction. Smiling, he held the beverage up to his mouth and took a sip. Then the yacht was gone. Forever. Well, John Paul said, at least we have each other. Yes, replied Courtney as she stared longingly at the yacht sailing away. The yacht that held the forbidden fruit tea. She turned to John Paul and cocked her head. But is that enough? The end. This one gets a 2.5 out of 5 fruit teas for me, and I don't really have a reason why. Like, there's nothing wrong with it per se. It's not my favorite out of all of these stories. But my favorite is the next one. Love, Limeade, and Deception. A woman named Sheila goes to her significant other Edward's house because she thinks he might be cheating on her. He's been acting weird ever since giving her a Wendy's Limeade at work. She enters his home and finds him drinking a Wendy's Limeade with another woman. She starts freaking out, feeling betrayed. Turns out, her and Edward aren't in a relationship. At all. Sheila! Edward banged his fist on the kitchen table. I bought you a Limeade last week to be nice. I don't know what kind of story you've concocted in your head, but there's nothing between us. How dare you deny our love just to impress your mistress? Sheila, is this a joke? I literally have never seen you outside the office. You're married. You have a photo of your kids on your desk. Still not coming to terms with this reality, she dumps both Edward's Limeade and the woman that he's with's Limeade down the drain. Edward falls to his knees, distraught at losing his drink, even though his girlfriend explains they can just go order a new one. He's too upset to hear her. Sheila then takes out a spare Wendy's Limeade that she brought with her, takes a sip, and then leaves. This one gets 6 out of 5 Limeades. Okay, 6 out of 5. Because I just like it that much. It's just straight out of an Element movie. Like, if you ever watched one Element movie, you've basically seen them all. But this is so Element. Like, I want a film based off of this short story alone. Come on, Wendy's. Catch up with KFC. Catch up with KFC. If they can do it, you can do it too. And you know, you could hire me to write the script. You could do that. Please, hire me. Okay, so let's get on to the last story. The Lemonade Charade. Laura Saunders worries that something is wrong when she goes into work one morning and her boss, Allison, greets her with a smile and a Wendy's lemonade. This is unusual because normally Allison makes her go get the Wendy's lemonades for them after lunch. So she's like, why is she greeting me with the Wendy's lemonade before lunch right as I walk in? Then when Allison calls her for a meeting in the conference room where another Wendy's lemonade is waiting for her, Laura knows there's definitely something going on. In the conference room with her and Allison is the CEO of the company, Jess. Jess informs Laura that they are firing her because of low performance ratings and she's the newest on the team. Feeling betrayed after 2 years of hard work at the company and being the best one there. Later that day, Laura realizes that she left behind some of her things at the office, so she goes back. She overhears Allison and Jess in the conference room discussing the true reason they fired her. Laura was the only one in the company that would be smart enough to figure out that they're embezzling money from the company to get a beach house in Bora Bora. So, Laura comes up with a plan for revenge. I decided to wait for Allison in the one place I knew she'd be every afternoon, the Wendy's down the street from the office. "Hello, Allison," I said quietly from a booth right as she walked in the door and took a long sip of my lemonade. "Fancy seeing you here." "Oh, Laura, you scared me." I'd never seen her look so caught off guard. "I'm so sorry again about what happened. It was nothing personal, just business." She couldn't even muster the courage to look me in the eyes. I chuckled. "Oh no, I get it. Just like you and Jess Elwood's plan to cook the books and buy yourself a piece of paradise in Bora Bora isn't personal either, huh?" Allison's face turned completely white. She blackmails Allison into letting her boyfriend, the CEO, Jess, give Laura her job back and give her double the salary. She ends up getting a promotion, and Allison takes over her old job to make up for her raise. And part of Allison's new duties includes the following: fetching me a sweet, tart, refreshing Wendy's all-natural lemonade every single day. Just so she knows you don't mess with Laura Saunders. Like I said, I'm not a bad person. I'm actually sweet and kind. But you can't mess with Laura Saunders and not expect some kind of retaliation. Because, as they say, when life gives you lemons, make a tall glass of sweet, cold, refreshing revenge. And then get a refreshing Wendy's all-natural lemonade to go with it. The end! Honestly, this story gets a 2 out of 5 lemonade. I just wish that Laura's revenge could have been more dramatic. Like, she got a recording of Allison and Jess talking about, stealing money and going away, and so she gets that recording of them talking and then like plays it for everybody at the company, or maybe takes it to the police or something, and get those two arrested, because in this story they don't get arrested. I'm assuming that Jess stays CEO and Allison just gets demoted and like gives her lemonade, which I guess for Laura that's enough, but I would want to see Allison and Jess go to jail, because what prevents Allison and Jess from just killing off Laura? What prevents them from just offing her? Because the story doesn't make it clear, but it sounds like only the three of them know. Like, Allison just told Jess, hey, she knows, like, you gotta do something about it. You gotta, like, give her a promotion and stuff. I don't know. Maybe they sorted it out with the police, but it just seemed like the revenge could have been a little bit more impactful. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Okay, so those are all of Wendy's stories for now. The last update was made in 2019, which is fairly recent, so who knows? Maybe they'll come out with more stories. Maybe if they hire me, I'll be the author of those stories. But I did follow them just because. And I will leave the link in the description so that if you want to read the stories in their entirety, in all their Wattpad-y glory, you can. Something else that I wanted to mention was that all of the protagonists for their stories are women. Which I don't know if that was also deliberate. Again, guys can be fans of Wattpad stories. They can be Wattpad authors. Like, it's not gender-based. But again, it's that whole Wattpad stereotype of like young girls reading Wattpad stories about their favorite band members and stuff. Anyway, I don't know. It's just something I noticed that all of the protagonists were girls. So, I don't know. All in all, I give Wendy's Wattpad account 11 out of 5 Wendy's drinks. I think it's definitely a fun time. Again, I didn't really critique it from like a serious writing standpoint because it's just a drink commercial. So in terms of drink commercials, it's pretty good. Another thing that I think is interesting is that if you were to turn any one of these short stories into an actual TV commercial, it wouldn't come across as any weirder than any other ad we see on TV. It's only because it's in this format and on a website you wouldn't expect a big brand to be on why we think it's kind of weird. But in reality, it's no weirder than any other weird ad on TV. It'll be interesting to see what direction marketing takes in 2021, what with, you know, Lifetime movies and video games and Wattpad. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. Let me know what other videos you want to see from me in the comment section, you know. Subscribe if you want to see more of my beautiful face. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye!